Hey, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Into the Core podcast with myself, Linda. I'm really excited. Every week, I get pangs in my stomach because I'm always very excited about the guests that I bring on. It means that much to me, which is why I hope you get something out of the podcasts that I do. So, without further ado, and as I always do, I always start off the show with my Into the Core intro because it makes me look so professional. We are definitely going to be having a great talk. So, without further ado, and before I introduce him, Into the Core.
Get into it.
All good things in Africa and beyond. Into the Core.
Into the core.
Into the Core.
Into the core.
Into the Core. All good things in Africa and beyond. All right. So we are here. We're doing Into the Core. It's a little bit it's been raining in Nairobi, but here's the thing. I am getting to introduce one of the most beautiful souls that I have met. His name is Jamel Daniels, and he is absolutely fantastic. His background, I think you guys have read into the script of it, and you've seen his background, and you've seen who he is about, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. So, Jamel, welcome to Into the Core.
Thank you, Linda. I just want to say that was an incredible intro video, by the way. Made me feel kind of good.
Thank you. Get into it.
Get into it. That's your voice, right? The all in Nairobi and beyond.
Yes, in Africa and beyond.
Mhm.
Jamel, don't get it twisted. You
In
know how it
Africa
is.
and beyond.
Brand management in Africa and beyond.
Mhm.
But it's so great to see you. How have you been?
I've been very good. Very blessed. Busy working on some fun stuff, some fun personal stuff as well. Family is good. Have been healthy throughout this whole thing. Have been sane. Have been getting in a good routine. Yeah, I feel like 2020 kind of changed a lot of things, and now they're starting to like settle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hopefully we're not in this that much longer, but definitely kind of like have hit a groove with like these cards we've been dealt, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. And the truth is that since 2020 happened, a lot of us had to change our tempo of working, our tempo of engaging with people.
Mhm.
For some people, it brought people apart. For some people, it brought them together. And even those that went apart, they probably discovered great things that were, happening within themselves, So it definitely was a rediscovery. I felt like we changed the channel, and it was like Rediscover Yourself 2020, and we were all involved. It was like a global channel, right?
Yeah, I can't believe it. Like it was just wild. Like everything's been kind of like turned upside down, and like you kind of like it's like shaking your bag empty, and then you only put back in what's important, I feel like. So it's like
Right.
a lot of things have been just kind of like you relook at everything, and yeah, things have changed. Like it's kind of like a BCAD for 2020. Like what you kind of did or for 2020 is like forever changed. So it's kind of like we're now like picking up what's new, what's going to go forward, and how we're going to do it. And everything has just been looked at differently, I feel like, as a result. So that's the good that's come from it. I guess if you kind of want to try to find like some light at the end of the tunnel, or look at it glass full sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just being like a creative, it's always just kind of like, we have to like we have to just get engulfed in it. Like this is how life is. Like it's Zoom now. It's, you know, like smaller gatherings. Like you know, we just have to really kind of like live in the moment and just kind of try to make things and produce things and just feel how everyone is feeling. So we really have to like not only just go through it, but just really kind of like, you know, really put on this cape of whatever 2020 is, whatever like this new world is. So
exactly. You know what? I have to say, just in passing, I have to say, congratulations to, completely out of topic, but I have to say it. So congratulations to the Buccaneers. Tom Brady went in and he showed up and showed out and showed the reason why the Patriots should have hang on to him real tight. I was in Boston at some point, so understanding the power of Tom Brady. I mean, like he took it home.
So I'm with you. I'm a Tom Brady fan. Like,
yeah,
for me, it's just greatness. Like, it's like, what side of history do you really kind of want to be on? I'm not like a bandwagoner, but I'm appreciating like someone that's performing at the highest level, and you know, yeah, and is doing legendary things. Like that's what I can appreciate, and that's what I love about, you know, what he's doing and what he's done so far. And like, yeah, I'm big time. Like I really dislike when they break up teams or just systems that are working and that like still have time to be great. Like I don't get when teams go to the finals of the championship and they win, and then the next year the team looks entirely different. Like I don't get that. Like I get going out on a high, but you know, if it's working, like let it do its thing. So yeah, I'm glad you know, he's continuing to make history, and like I'm able to be a part of like seeing greatness.
Seeing that part of it, exactly.
Yeah, it's awesome to me.
Yeah, and huge shout out to the weekend, you know, straight from East Africa, from Ethiopia, you know, Abeli, you know, congratulations. He definitely he did a great job. I saw a lot of jabs being taken at him, but you know, I'm about the positives. He did him.
He did.
You know,
performance. You know.
Yeah.
So like I heard I don't know how true it is. I didn't look into it, but I heard that he put $7 million of his own like earnings into the Super Bowl performance, and the performance isn't like a paid performance. It's more about the promotion and stuff. So
yeah,
I respect that. And then I think also he's just kind of like, you probably have heard about the Grammy snubs, like no nomination. So I think he's just really, you know, he's like, sometimes you get in that mode. It's like, you know, I can't get the acknowledgement or what I feel like I deserve. So I go out on a limb and do my own thing. So that I love, that I respect. And I think that's cool.
Exactly. You have, you know, the most important thing, yes, he spent $7 million of his own money. It's not your money, but it's his money.
Yeah.
And that is the most important. Yeah. I mean, if he thought that it was worth it, then it was worth it for him. It wasn't worth it maybe for all the other people who, you know, were like, why couldn't you just leave it there? But I mean, that discussion on its end is, you know, to each their own, especially when you're owning your own craft, right?
Totally.
Super, yeah.
No, like I get it. Like even in like design, like whether it be myself or for a company, whether it be like, you know, a book layout or a garment, like as creatively, you have your own vision of something. So it's like, oh, this is supposed to be a $250 jacket, but my vision is that it's actually going to have to be $300 just because I have a certain way that I see it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I get that. Sometimes it's like you, and if you're really passionate about it, or if you can sell people on it, then, you know, maybe they'll do the markup at a higher price so you can actually, you know, build the jacket the way you envisioned or whatever it might be. So I totally get that. It's like sometimes you can't, your vision and the restraints that you have or the boundaries that you have to work in just aren't enough. And creatively, if you can make it happen, you're going to do it. So yeah, I totally understand that. And I respect that he just went after it. because I know the feeling of wanting like, but this is a Super Bowl, like it has to be this, it has to be that, and then you go after it. So I love that.
Yeah, I think we lost you for like 2 hot seconds.
Oops.
You still there, Lovey?
Yep, still here.
You're such a talented creative, and that's the one thing that I absolutely love about you. I remember when Mel, and I give her all credit, you know, she's absolutely fantastic. But when Mel was telling me that you're coming in and that you know, because you don't do things. That was on my side. It just went out.
Yeah, I lost you for a sec.
Thanks, Zuku. Lord Jesus, can we get something straight out here? My Kenyan fellows would know what I'm talking about. I'm just like, I'm so over it. I need a sip of coffee at this point. I'm just like coughing it out.
No worry, we're back.
Okay, so like I said, anyway, so all props to Mel, because Mel told me that you were going to come on board, and she was like, oh, he's a lead designer of Ralph Lauren menswear. I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe, you know. And then I remember meeting you at the lobby, and you were like so cool and calm, and you were like, yeah, sorry, I missed my flight. Or like, damn.
Shaking my head at
like how did we do this to you? Like, why do you miss your flight? But you were very cool, calm, collected, and you also had this this thing about you that was just very humble. A lot of people don't have that humility. You know, when you meet people, you always think that, oh, they work for this label, so put them up there and they're going to be like, where's my room, darling? You know, and you were just like, all right, so what's the program? What's the plan? And, you know, we kind of got into it. You met our team, my lovely ladies. So a big shout out to them. And before I knew it, you were, you know, I just remember like, after your session, or was it the day after or the day before, you were like hopping in on matatus, you know, with the graffiti and everything, and you were like, and I was like, what? Where is he? What? Is he okay? I mean, like we're holding precious merchandise, and we're just like, God damn it, can we finish? And yeah, but you had a lot of fun in Kenya. So thank you for experiencing Kenya. I mean, like that's exactly what it's about. And it also taught me like create packages, you know, lessons learned, create packages for those who really want the homegrown experience versus, you know, the complete lifestyle experience. Because we've got both.
Yeah.
You know, we give you both, you know, and so thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Like I had a great time. For me, my personal, like what I like is more like I like to live like the locals. I like to see what the locals do. You know, I want to feel like even though I was only there for, you know, a week or so, like how would this feel if I was here for 2 months? So where would we be on any typical night or like doing, or, you know, what are some of the like what's the mundane, you know, like where does everyone really shop? Like what does everyone go for, you know, necessities? Like what are some of the neighborhoods that, you know, tourists wouldn't go to, just like so we can like let's really see what it's like. That's what I always love about anywhere I go. So I'm glad that with Kenya I was able to definitely, you know, have that experience. Like my friend McKenna, like I loved her. She was always like, oh, we can do this, and like, you know, it's like, oh, cool, yeah, like let's do it. So so yeah, like just being able to see as much as possible. I definitely see and do as much as possible. I appreciate you guys, you and Mel, just kind of like setting up the whole workshop and having myself and all the other incredible creatives that were involved come together and be able to do something I felt like was, you know, was fun for us, and then I hope also great for everyone that was able to come and like check us out or speak to us or pick our brains or go through portfolios or just kind of ask questions, whatever, anything that we could do or insight that we could give or information that we had. I felt like we all had a passion to share it, and we enjoyed it. So. And we also just had a great time in Kenya and Nairobi, and so thanks for a fun experience, thanks for a new experience, and like I'm blessed that I was able to be a part of, so thank you.
Oh no, dude, I mean, like I'm yeah, like I'm humbled. I am just humbled. All right. So let's talk about let's talk about your experiences, and let's talk about how was that a tear? Yeah, no. Let's talk about let's talk about your experience. You went to HBCU, if I'm not wrong, and let's talk about the beginning of your design experience. You as a designer, how did you start off, and how did you get to the level of working with and Target commercial, which I really loved. I also worked there. That's what we have in common. You and I have that in common.
Yeah.
And you were at Van Hussein, and then there was Ralph Lauren, and you've worked on various projects with various designers, helping with their design aesthetics, building their brands on the back end. So let's start with what that was like for you, starting off at HBCU, because I know a lot of students don't realize the work that you put in and where you start positioning yourself.
Oh yeah, totally. So, I went to an HBCU, which is just short for Historically Black College and/or University. So HBCUs are essentially just like Black schools in the States. Like not all were founded by African Americans, but they were essentially built for higher education for Blacks in the States.
Yeah.
So HBCUs have been around since as early as 1837. I went to North Carolina A&T State University, which is in Greensboro. And I originally went to my HBCU to study engineering.
Wow.
My HBCU, North Carolina A&T, is the #1 producer of Black engineers in the world.
Wow.
So in wanting to do engineering, that was the place to go.
Right.
Before that, if I could just back up a little bit, I wanted to go to Howard, because Howard was like it's Howard, like it's the Mecca, it's the Mecca of Blackness, it's the Mecca of excellence. Like I was like, I want to go there. So I got accepted. I went on a college tour, and like I said, I ended up going to A&T because of that information about the #1 producer of engineers, and that was what I was studying.
Yeah.
So went to A&T. The campus was incredible. The students were like so well put together, and I just like the environment was just like everyone was like passionate and everyone was driven to do something. And I saw that even before, like in just visiting the campus. So when I actually got there, it definitely lived up to the hype. Like I met so many creatives in not just fashion, but just in everything, and not just creative, just like business people and like people who wanted to do mechanics and racing and just every kind of like person you can think of. I met, and they had a goal to do something, and if they like wanted to figure it out, or
I'm here. Keep going, baby.
So, um, so yeah, I'm on campus to study engineering, and I did okay my first semester. I did just below like a 3.0, but it wasn't great. And I kind of was just kind of like, what? I was
Sorry
like, what?
about that.
No worry. I was just kind of like feeling like, you know, if this is what I'm signing up to do for the rest of my life, like, what am I really going to be happy doing this? So I had joined like a few organizations around like apparel and fashion because I always loved like clothes. Like I had designed different T-shirts and hoodies and stuff for my spirit store in high school. So like the prom shirt, different club shirts I would design and stuff. So I always like liked it, but I didn't really know it was something I could do every day. But like I said, I was meeting different people on campus, and they were having internships at Versace or
Wow.
Urban Labels, and like I was just like, what? Like you can do that? Like this was for me. It was like Sean John was where I wanted to work. Like for me, I was like, if I could work for Diddy, like if I could work on Sean John, and then everyone was like, yeah, the parties are so cool. Like you get invited to Diddy's Hamptons party. And like, what? I was like, and then it's all kind of coming together. I'm like, yeah, like if I was doing that, that would be the pipeline, or that would be like the access. So all of this started to just become real. And I'm like, oh my God, like, yeah, like if that was the case, then that's how it would look. And that's what I want to do. That would make me happy if that was like what was, like how I got up every day. So before I just dove into studying apparel design, I kind of just played around with what I could do. So I did graphic communication systems because I still love and appreciate architecture, but it's kind of like, what exactly do I want to do specifically? So I was like, instead of engineering, buildings and bridges and stuff, like, what about just designing them? Or like, is there something in down that lane? So I did a lot of graphic classes, a lot of software for, just communicating graphically and building things. And I had just kind of like, it all just kind of came together where it was like, I can actually go down the road of apparel. Like it's like a construction of a garment. It's not like the construction of a house, but there are a lot of parallels in just design. So, and then even like, draping and construction, all that kind of stuff. It was really in knowing how to dissect just building things. It made sense to me. So, I didn't know exactly what end I would be on, if it would be more styling, if it would be more like, create like building and designing, but that was the almost immediate fit for me. Like I never really wanted to like work with finished product. I always was like, I want to create something like, oh, it would be cool if a vest was like this, or if a cargo pant had this pocket, or if, whatever it was. So for me, I kind of got into, once I decided to go into design and merchandising, which was what I studied, like being a designer was kind of always it. Like I'm going to be a designer. So I remember going to Nike.com, Polo.com, like two of my favorite brands or places that I would love to work. And I remember just looking at the positions that they post on the career page and seeing exactly what I would need. And they all said, 4-year degree in apparel design, 4-year degree in apparel design, X amount of experience, knowledge of this software, knowledge of that software. So I started to see like exactly what was kind of like common denominators. And I just made sure I knew how to do that. Like I made sure I had above a 3.0. I made sure I knew whatever systems they were using. And I made sure I got a degree in design and merchandising. So that I did. And in undergrad, I was fortunate to have 2 really good internships, one at Target Corporation. That was the first. And I remember being on campus and being like, okay, I got to get a good internship. I got to really kind of start proving myself and like getting experience in this industry. And a lot of people in my department, everyone, a lot of other students studying apparel and design, they would be like, the big thing when career day came around was like, there are no fashion companies here for us. There's no opportunity here for us. You know, let's make a big fuss about it. And for me, it was like, that might be the case. There might not be many, but there's something out there. So I remember going to the career fair and Target was there. And I was like, you know, I like Target. You know, you're being an undergrad, I would get things from Target. I remember the first suit that I got. I had a presentation. I needed a suit. I got a suit from Target. So I was like, I knew they had apparel, and I was like, you know, it's decent stuff. It's commercial enough that it can't just be awful. So I went and talked to the recruiter, and they were kind of like, oh, you're not in like marketing or business or, you know, something in that line, because that was what a lot of the students that they talked to were coming from.
Right.
So I was like, no, I'm in design. I really want to like, you know, work in design. And I was serious, and I had a portfolio, and I started, and it was little details. I remember like I had a friend who was a few years ahead of me, and he was like, yeah, when you talk to these New York designers, you have to have a beautiful portfolio, not just the way it looks, but you have to have a nice, you have to have, you know, they have to take you seriously on every angle, at every degree. So I had this like, I mean, I still love Coach, but I had like a nice Coach leather, like, you know, portfolio case. I was just as anything that I had absorbed, I was like a sponge and I applied it because I was taking it seriously. So I had a nice portfolio case. I had all this nice work that I had put together that I was proud of, and I was showing the recruiter, and they took me seriously. So even though they weren't necessarily hiring for designers, like
for designers,
they got my information, and you know, someone got in touch with me, and then they came back and did an on-campus interview, and then I mean there was a big process, but I ended up getting essentially like almost a 3-month internship with Target, paid, housing, all summer 2009. It was an incredible opportunity. Like, and the next year I had that experience on my resume. So I was, you know, looking for, you know, more design experience, and having Target be kind of like a foundational part of, you know, what I was doing. I'm sorry, can you hear all those horns?
We can hear the horns, but that's okay because you're in New York.
Yeah. So, but so yeah, it was like the next year when I was looking for internships.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was all about Sean John for me. Like that was where I wanted to be. Like even before I moved to New York, or in like high school, it was all about the show called Making the Band, where Diddy had a group. And
and he put them through getting him his New York cheesecake.
Yeah.
I mean, in the dead of winter.
I love that show. I used to love that show, and I was like, I used to be like, if I was there, I would do it. And I was like, that's how I know I have the hustle and I should be in that city. Because for me, if that's what you really want to do, like I'm walking to Brooklyn, like period. But anyway.
But you know what, Jamel, just so that I can also go back and send a huge shout out to my people at Target, because like I said, you and I both have Target Corporation in the back of us.
Yeah.
And I work for Target Commercial Interiors in Minneapolis, and it was absolutely stunning. And I'll say that the great thing about Target is that when they see your potential, they actually go all out for you. So, you know, to a certain extent, I'm like, wow, yeah, great. Those are just reactions. But then on the back end, I do know that they are that. They are exactly that. And you know, I remember Isaac Mizrahi doing something for Target commercial. I
Mm-hmm.
had one of his jackets. I was like, oh, if he's doing something, then I'm jumping in on this. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just happy that you were part of that groove that they had an appreciation for designers. And then not just that there was you as a Black, you know, an African American, you know, a person of color that they put in through that whole experience. So
Yeah.
let me just give credit where credit is due. But all
Yeah.
right,
Totally.
so carry on as you were saying. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you short.
No, it's fine. And also, I just want to add to that and say as well, like, kudos to Target. Like, this was 2009. So this is before there was like, we really are continuing to fight for more inclusion, but they were kind of always, or even from my experience, open to it. And like, you know, it was before it's fashionable to be like, you know, recruiting from HBCUs or just, you know, having diversity within design or whatever it might be. I can say that I saw it firsthand there, you know, way back then. So yeah, definitely kudos to Target. Great place to work. I had an incredible experience, and I love the people and the company and the culture. It was a great place.
Bro. Yeah. So from that you transition to where? I mean, because then you're projecting Diddy.
Mm-hmm. I'm like,
Sean.
yeah, I want to work for Diddy. I want to like be in New York. I want to work for Sean John. I want to go to the parties. Like I grew up wearing the clothing in like high school and stuff. I was like, I can do this. So I did my research, and at the time, it wasn't the parent company, but it was a company that was working with Sean John they were licensing like some of the suiting and neckwear and shirts and stuff.
Yes.
They were called PVH, Phillips Van Heusen.
Yeah.
So because that was the information that I found, that, okay, this company is connected. Like, maybe if I apply for some positions there, then I'll be working with Sean John in some capacity. So I applied for an internship with the company, PVH, Phillips Van Heusen, who at the time, their brands were Calvin Klein, Izod, and literally the summer I was there, they had acquired Tommy Hilfiger. So it was Tommy, Calvin, Izod, and a few other heritage brands. One brand that they had that they were working on at the time was Timberland. And the internship, they had designers for Timberland and for another company called Bass, which is known for like the Bass Weejan, which was like the loafer that Michael Jackson wore with his White Sox and stuff. It's just so that's what they're known for, but they also had like an apparel division. Yeah. So I was like, I really would like Timberland because I knew Timberland, you know, but I ended up getting Bass, which was fine because I was like, it's more about the same way with Target. It wasn't really about the label. It was about the experience. It was about being able to learn. It was about being able to show and prove. It was about having something to build from. So I was selected for that internship. And again, another priceless experience, another priceless network of people that I met that I still literally like do business with and have friendships with today. So like that really helped propel me to just have
get you to the next level.
Yeah. So like I graduated with 2 incredible internships, my degree in apparel, and just, you know, experience and knowledge of all these things that I had kind of looked at as like a checklist when I was an undergrad. Like, what do I need to really be able to do this? So, so that was undergrad and internships and kind of how I got started. Just kind of like a lot of research, seeing how it would look, what I needed to do, what I could do, what I wanted to do, like, and just being driven to go forward and start somewhere.
Yeah. And there was this whole experience with Paris and France. Where did that come in?
Yeah. So my department, I studied design and merchandising at North Carolina A&T, and we were in the Department of family and consumer sciences. So our department had this European fashion study tour that they did. I think it was every other year.
Right.
And it was a year that they were doing. It was actually the same summer of my internship with Target. So I was like, again, a way to have more insight into this industry, a way to kind of just experience, what this actually looks like. And so I was like, I have to do it. And I had signed up for it. I was a standout in my department. Like
Yeah.
I really was, I did good work, and it was seen and it was appreciated by our professors and by our, directors and things. So I applied. I had some, scholarship towards it as well, which was nice. And
that's great.
yeah, so I was able to go and study in London and Paris. It was like 8 days in London and 5 days in Paris. So it wasn't, like months, but it was still a good enough time to kind of go and just kind of like, they had tons of meetings with different design houses, and also at the level of like production and design. So we would go into like, I remember one of the labels was Zandra Rhodes, and they had like essentially a townhouse that they owned. And the first floor was fabric and cutting. The second floor was, where they had the designers kind of working and draping. And then they had a couple of people that were interning or staying there, like live on the third floor. So I was like, oh my God, this is an in-house operation. This is everything is literally, I was able to see it from bare bones, like almost like, okay, I see a garment in the store, but this is like how it's made. This is like what the roles are for people to actually have this become a reality. Like I saw mood boards, I saw like the inspiration tears, like really being able to see how it was conceptually put together from like a house perspective, because with Target, it was more like commercial. It's more like, this is what's selling. This is what we need. It's more sales driven and buyer driven, but this was like creative. This was like, okay, these are the trends. This is what our head designers are feeling. This is what we feel like we should have this season. So being able to see like how that worked at a house level was, incredible. So, and then in London and Paris, so it was like going to, factories where they made Louis Vuitton luggage. So it was like all of the reject samples of these like, $3,500 bags, and just kind of seeing the craftsmanship, everything that went into it, like the quality control, the inspection, the time that it took, like the skill of all the workers, like all that stuff is like is incredible.
No, I'm just saying, so it basically broke down every process that you were being taught in school.
Yes.
But then it gave you a little bit of a reality check to make sure that even anything that you even wanted to start creating in the future had to have the levels of building up, however simplistic, each storyline is essentially heavy on what you're going to give the consumer.
Yeah, like it was just to kind of like see the process also made it feel like, oh, like I could literally do this, like it would be work and manpower and like, maybe some help, and you might have to outsource certain things, but just kind of seeing everything done in process was like, okay, it was like a light bulb moment. Like I get it. So, you can sit in a classroom and talk about it all day, but actually being a part of it is another thing. And that's what going to London and Paris allowed me to see. Prior to that, I had been to only one factory, and that was in North Carolina. And and it was like, American manufacturing and production isn't terrible, but like there's levels to it. There's differences, and for what that is great. But this was kind of like, you know, how designers dream of their products being built, essentially, and like the process that we kind of dream of.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, there's a precision to to the manufacturing too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't realize it at the time, but I was like becoming so well rounded. Like I said, I saw like developing product commercially, and I was seeing it done at like, you know, a couture level, or like a, you know, at the level of any fashion house, essentially.
Oh wow.
So that was 2000. I was a busy summer because I remember being like, I was like 2 days late for my internship. I had worked it out with the recruiters, told them I had an incredible opportunity to travel abroad, but that was a few weeks before my internship started. So I missed like the first day or two of my actual internship with Target because of that.
Right.
It was, but yeah, so that was a busy summer, but it was that some things are just like priceless, and that was up there with it, especially at the level and at the time that I went for what I wanted to do, kind of like, you know, after that and coming up.
Did that experience actually help you do something even greater when you had your stint at Target? Because yeah, there's that significance of that you did the Euro tour first, or Euro experience first before Target, you know, came on board. So did that change a little bit of your perception when you went into Target? I mean, you know,
I wouldn't say it kind of like, I wouldn't say it changed anything, because I was still at the time when it was like sponge mode. It was like taking everything, you know. So it was like, okay, I saw how it was done in, you know, London and Paris for these houses, but you know, how is it done here? And at the time, I didn't really know much of a difference, and it was kind of like just learning how it's done, because you know, I didn't know comparatively like exactly how much different it was or whatever. It was just kind of like gain as much knowledge as you can. So for me, it was more so just about, I don't know. I guess all the experiences, I don't want to say they were equal, but it was just kind of like I was there to learn from all of them.
You were just soaking, you were a sponge.
Yeah. So it was like, if anything, it was like, I just want to get the most out of this experience. Like,
And so how did the opportunity later on with Ralph Lauren, how did that manifest, and how did you get into that space? Because I know we have quite a bit that we want to cover in the next 15 minutes. So I want to ask about that experience with Ralph Lauren, because I know there's two things you know, that you're doing right now, and well, one that I want to talk about, and then the other that, you know, but yeah, talk to me about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you short, but
no worry. So this was after I graduated. I finished my degree. I have great internships, and I moved back home to Ohio. I graduated in December. I moved back home that holiday, and its next step was just finding, like, I knew I wanted to be in New York, and I knew I wanted to work, to be a designer, work in design. So the process started of just like reaching out, sending portfolios, sending resumes out, going on interviews. I did a lot of back and forth to New York, like overnight bus trip, having interviews for a couple of days, come back. So it had got to the point where I was like, okay, I just need to like be in New York, because I'm having a lot of opportunities come up and I have to go back and forth. Like I might freelance for a couple of weeks and then come back home, and then like go for a couple interviews and come back. So I was like, okay, I just need to kind of take a leap of faith and just go out there. So when I graduated, I told my parents, I was like, hey, don't give me anything, but just when I get ready to move to New York, just help me out. Give me first and last month's rent. So I had that, and when the time was right, I went. And so I moved out to New York. I was working in like retail, and I had worked in like a hotel, and just kind of whatever to kind of just be there. But I was still interviewing and trying to get into design. So I ended up, just to fast forward a little bit, getting my first design opportunity. And shortly after that, someone from Ralph Lauren had reached out to me. And this was a place that I had applied to forever. And,
Right.
and it was like for them to hear back, I was like, oh, I thought I was just going to be applying and never hear anything ever.
Right.
But I actually heard back and I was like, wow. Because like I said, Nike and Ralph Lauren were like my two favorite places. I was like, these are dream places that I would like to work and design for.
Right.
So when I heard back, I was like, okay, cool. So I actually interviewed with Ralph Lauren for probably a year before I actually was hired. And that's because I go on my first interview, and it's just with HR. They're like, oh, like, we love you. This will be great. We'll have you come in and meet with so-and-so in this department. So I was like, cool. So I went and I met with them and they were like, okay, cool. Do a project for us. So I worked on a project, and then I come back and I present it to the rest of the team. They're like, oh, this is great, but we think you might be a better fit, in
this department.
Yeah. So then someone else ends up getting that role, and then they have me come back in, and I'm meeting with another team, and they're like, "Oh, like, you're great. Like, we think you'd be great here. Like, can you work on a project for us?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I work on another project, and they're like, "Oh, God, this is awesome. Like, but we actually decided to turn this role into freelance.
Mm-hmm.
So could you just freelance for us?" And I'm like, well, I actually can't. At the time, I remember I passed on it because I was like, I'm working full time. Like, I don't know. I feel like in New York,
like it's like you want to be there, but you're just like, listen,
I had to be
responsible.
Yeah, I had to be responsible because it was like, I have to like pay super expensive rent, and I can't really just gamble on being here for a couple months and try to fit. Like, I had already scrambled a lot to just get to the city and like be able to like be a functioning person.
Yeah.
So, like, I just couldn't take the gamble, and like, and I felt like the right thing will eventually come. Like, these people that I was meeting with were like, we would love to have you. Like, this would be great. It was just like, it just had to align, the thing.
As I say, it was not God's timing at that point.
Yeah, the timing just wasn't right. So I didn't feel like, okay, if I don't take this, this will be my last chance. I felt like the right thing just had to come about. So I on the freelance opportunity, and then I just stayed in touch with the recruiters, and sure enough, a few months later, another round of interviews, another project, and I think it was either the third time or the fourth time that I had met with, different teams, that they were like, okay, like, when can you start? And so I had, I remember I started March 11th, 2011, because it was 2013. March 11, 2013 was the day after my birthday. I remember I was so happy. I was like, this is the best birthday gift ever. The day after my birthday, I was going to start. I was going to be, it was essentially an assistant designer, but even that was another thing. The role was for assistant designer, but then they were like, oh, we actually don't have the budget for this role anymore, but can you do temporary to permanent? It's like, essentially, it would be like a freelance. So I was like, at the time, it was a little different. Like, it was like, I can actually afford to do this now. Like, and so I took it, and I worked as hard as possible and made sure it was actually temporary to permanent. And then, so I freelanced for, I think it was like 3 months. And then they asked me to officially come on board as an assistant designer full time. And then, so fast forward a couple of years later, I was promoted to an associate, promoted to a designer, so on and so on. But that was a company that I always wanted to work for. I love the people I love the people. I love the product. Like I just felt like it was so second nature. Like I felt like, you know, being able to work on a collection was like I had all these ideas, and then I had, you know, all of this research that I did, and then I had all of these concepts that I came up with, and then I had all these people in different teams that I worked with, and we all worked together and collab. It was just so much fun. It was like
Yeah.
it would it could burn you out because the way they work is so like ideas driven, which which is great that it was so second nature to me, but it was like it was a lot of work. I remember I took on so much in the span of just over 6 years. I'd done Purple Label accessories. I'd done Polo Golf,
Wow.
bottoms and headwear and accessories. I'd done
Well
Polo
done.
wear and Polo. I'd done some outerwear. I'd done bottoms. I'd just done special projects for
Mm.
cancer awareness and for tournaments, Wimbledon, Ryder Cup, just so much stuff. And it was like all of this was on my plate. But what allowed me to be able to like, I don't know. I woke up and I was passionate about it. It was the passion that kind of late. It was like, oh my God, like, there were some late nights, but for the most part, it was just kind of like a fun place to work with a lot of creativity and a lot of just things to be inspired by.
But isn't that the most important thing for any designer who is out there and who is willing? I mean, like, think about the amount of time that it took for you to even manifest that process, that these are two labels that I really love. If I could get either or, one of or the other or both maybe in my lifetime, that would be great. But
Yeah.
think about the amount of time, work, and patience you had to put into it, because a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people want a here and now as opposed to the hard work that goes into it, the resilience that you have to build while you're building that background and that portfolio at the back end that can be seen by millions of people.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes passion.
It does. And I remember even in college, it was like, we had different assignments, and it was like, this isn't just an assignment to do. This is something that I'm going to do as well as I can so that I can put it in front of someone and say, hey, this is why you should give me an opportunity. This is why this is something that I can do. So I wasn't just doing assignments and projects to get them done. I was doing them, and I really wanted them to be a part of what I hoped would get me to the next level. And it was. So yeah, even back as far as that was like, it was what got me to Target, and then doing a good job there was what got me to PVH, and doing a good job. It was all it's not just a snap of the finger. It's a process. And then I actually was becoming like a better designer throughout this time. It wasn't like, I felt like, yeah, I could have done a good job if I was, given an opportunity earlier, but it's not like that time went in vain. I was still working at other apparel companies. I was still learning what a role as an assistant was before I was one. It was just like, there's always something that you can try to take away that can make you more prepared for the next level, I feel like.
Wow. So I want to do something a little bit different. I want to do a little bit of an intro, and let's see if this works, because it's a new feature, which is why I interrupted you before. But I think also the blackout session kind of put me into a different space. But let's try this, because this is going to introduce your new project. There's a book that I feel that we're going to, honey, please stop peeking out of the window. That's my son. I'm just like, oh Lord Jesus. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this intro, and then you could talk to me about this new project that you've been working on.
Okay.
I know that there's the book that we should also highlight. So, which would you like to do first? Would you like to do the book first, or would you like to introduce your project first?
I can just quickly say about the book first. Like,
Okay.
I authored a Concrete Jungle book.
Yes.
And published in 2012.
12.
And essentially it was about everything that I did in college and moving to New York just to kind of get my footing and get started in design. So it's essentially from college through starting my first design role in New York.
Yeah.
And I talked about a lot of it now. So this is like the book just goes into more detail about the experience that I had, the people I was meeting with, what those conversations actually looked like in Concrete Jungle book. So I'll just do a quick plug for my book. If you guys want more detail on any of the things that I just shared with Linda, Concrete Jungle book is a great place to where you can get more information, where you can get more of the stories.
And you know what? I feel like our first section of this was just basically leading up into that plug. So thank you.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at the reviews, and you've got some really raving reviews that I feel like anybody who's and I really want to put it very if you're a designer out there and you feel that you could attach to yourself, but I also want to put it to my African designers who are out there and they're trying to do something really big and they want to be the next, or they want to work with the next. This kind of gives you a leeway of what to expect on your way out there. I mean, like right now, I know social media, Instagram, we could talk and plug into people, but at the same time, there's a lot more work that goes into it, So Concrete Jungle, I mean, is the best way to go. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Google Bookstore. Yeah, I was checking out all the plugs. I was like, where are we plugging them in? So please go and support him. And if you're, and I really want to plug in my young and up and coming designers, go and read it, go and attach to it, go and put your mind's thoughts into it. And if you want, I will be happy again to have another session with Jamel. For those who want to have a one-on-one, Jamel will make it happen, right? We'll do this.
Definitely.
Right. Okay. So you have a beautiful project and that you have started working with Black colleges. And can I do a little bit of the intro and let's see how this works?
Sure.
Dear Lord, give us grace that it works well, because I will be doing this for the first time here, but hey, we got to take those first steps to make sure that something beautiful happens. Sure. So we're going to preview your ad, your commercial for the project that you're working on. All right, let's do it. All right, so there we go. So it's a little bit of the preview, but then I'm gonna post it back up with a lot of my stuff. But why don't you talk to me about this beautiful project that you've got going on with the Black colleges?
Okay, so Black College Union, I essentially started last year. Like there was a lockdown, there was just kind of like it was kind of like a lot of time to think, a lot of space to just kind of be like, what is going on? What's next? Or like, what are ideas that I've had that I wanted to flesh out? So this kind of came out of that. Since I've moved on from Ralph Lauren, just kind of like still working in design, but just kind of more like leading all product categories. So better opportunities kind of have come about. So in taking those newer opportunities and no longer contributing at Ralph Lauren, a place that I love, a place that I, have just like love the aesthetic, the lifestyles. I kind of wanted to fill that void that I didn't have anymore. So
Yeah.
Again, in kind of like thinking, I was liking some of the product that I was seeing geared towards HBCUs, and I wasn't liking some of the product that I was seeing geared towards HBCUs.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that'd be fun to do and to like work on. So originally I started, and I was thinking I would do a couple ideas for this brand that I love called AACA, African American College Alliance. I was like, maybe
Yeah.
I'll throw together a couple things, and then I'll see if they want to like, partner and do them or whatever it might be. And then as I developed it more and more, I was like, I think I could just do this myself. Like I've done this for so long for other people. Like, why don't I just make this my thing? So Black College Union started as an idea to just apply essentially streetwear, varsity and prep lifestyle sensibilities to historically Black college apparel. So in short, I just wanted to make HBCU streetwear. I wanted to make things that were for students and alumni, and I wanted to make things that were fun. Like we all have enough, of everything. So I wanted to just make something that I felt like wasn't on the market, and it wasn't the marketplace, and a community that I felt like, is being served, but I felt like there was something that I could bring to and kind of have a space to fill in.
Yeah.
So I've enjoyed working on it. Like I said, I've been able to take different sensibilities that I love from like varsity and collegiate and prep and vintage, and just apply it to historically Black colleges and universities, and make some cool product for those schools. And it's been a passion project, and it's been a lot of fun.
And how has that impacted some of the colleges that that you've contributed to, and what has the union kind of felt about this beautiful, I don't know, is it a get together literally?
So it's a private company essentially, but we have licensing with 23 HBCUs. So starting this spring, we'll be launching those first collections, officially licensed product. And, from the sale of every garment, the university gets their licensing fees, and that goes to the university. So, in supporting your school through this brand, like, the university also it's like you're also giving back to your university.
Oh, wow.
So that I've been working with universities for probably about 6 or 7 months now. And I mean, I like love working with Clark and Clark Atlanta and Tennessee State, and so many others. And they've responded really positively to the product. I've been really kind of like pushing the envelope and kind of like doing things that wouldn't typically be done by the university. So it's been perceived really well, and it's kind of like a niche spot. But I think that's like the beauty of it. Like, it's not just so common. You're just kind of really trying to have ideas that can add some excitement to this space. And I think so far it's been doing that.
And on this level that you guys are doing it at, have you guys found that even during the time of Black Lives Matter, that it has become so essential to really build that strength and build that and harness what that means to the Black community?
Yeah, totally. I feel like a lot of like my HBCU network of friends and like we've always been pretty strong. Like I feel like with national attention for Black Lives Matter and all of these issues, it's only magnified it, but it's always been there. Like this isn't something that like now it's trendy to do. Like this isn't being done or isn't being magnified because of specifically because of the time that we're in. Like it does like put some fire under it, but this is like for those that have gone to HBCUs, we all know like since our experience, since graduation, like this has been our community, you know. So yeah, it's just more like for the actual community, it's not too far of a departure from how things have been. It's just kind of like a little bit more, I don't know, maybe more eyes on it or more just kind of like awareness from others.
Yeah.
We've always kind of been like I love my HBCU and like my experience, and so many others are like me. Like I said, before I started this line of apparel, I bought HBCU apparel from others, you know, so it's not like, you know, this is necessarily like the first, but it definitely is a new take, new product and ideas around it. But it's always it's always been there and it's always been pretty strong.
Wow. Jamel, you're just like continuously soaring. Continuously soaring, because I feel like whatever you put your mind to, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard the work is, you're in it for all the right reasons, which is what a lot of people don't even realize, that when you are even mentally preparing yourself for that next level of whatever it is, you have to continuously be gearing yourself for that next level. If I'm not wrong, you know, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm always just like, hey,
no, I hear you.
You have inspired me on a different level. Even with my podcast right now, I'm just like, all right, we're good. We're gonna put in the hard work. We're good. We're gonna keep the stories going, you know. But that's amazing what you do, Jamel, and you're the most humble person. I mean, like, I wish that that a lot of people understood how much hard work it has gotten you to even name the brands that you have worked with, worked so hard, gotten to the level where you're doing what you're doing, have written a book that was in 2012. My son wasn't even born. And you were out there just doing amazing things, really.
Thank you. Like, I like you just said, I do all the like things for all the right reasons. And I appreciate that because I feel like I try to, or like even from like college, it was kind of like, yeah, I don't know if this is the best fit for me. Like what's something that I could do that I could like really love and be passionate about? Like, and then even like in writing my book, it was like therapeutic for me at the time. It was like,
wow, yeah.
I'm trying to get into design. There's frustrations, there's challenges. Like, let me write it out. Like, so as much as it was for me to be able to share, it was therapeutic for me to be able to just kind of like get it out, get it down, get it recorded, and be able to share with everyone. And then I feel like now with Black College Union, again, like, you know, I love these schools and what they represent and the product and or people that they turn out, myself being one of. So for me to be able to do something related to is like, I think that's the right reason. It feels like it. I love it. And I'm glad that you said that because I think that is important. You know, like it is, you know, I want to do these things for the right reasons. I feel like they are. And I'm glad that you can call that out. I think that's really cool.
So what do you think your next chapter is, even beyond, you know, the Black colleges? What are you brewing in your little teacup, your little coffee pot in the background? What is not happening now?
So,
because 2021 has come with like a few extras. You know, we're now putting
Yeah.
a little bit of cinnamon and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So I would say this, like right now, two things. One, Black College Union is the focus. Like I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm really going to be consistent and put in
yeah,
time to grow that business, grow that brand, and get back as much as I can there and see where it goes.
yeah.
So between that and then also I'm recently engaged, so like between my business and like like planning and helping my fiance like plan a wedding and like bringing our families together, bringing our lives together. It's like it's a lot of fun. It's exciting. It's busy. It's like it's a fun time, but it's also a busy time. So I'm kind of like I'm enjoying that, and that's kind of like what I can say. I just want to get through this time of continuing to launch this business and like and for it to be fruitful, and also bringing my life together with my fiance. That's like what I'm doing now. That's what's next, and then I'll have more for the next chapter when I get there.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So, first of all, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, love. You know, I had a couple of messages for you. You know, there's a couple of messages of hey, hey, hey. So to your fiance, hey, you snagged one. You know, you definitely snagged a good one. There was hey, 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 he cute. There was a couple of so is he single? And I was like, nah, I'm sorry. There was a couple of others who had sent some really nasty messages. We cannot share on this too. It's just nasty. Like, girls, get your lives together. But you know what? It's just you know, Jamel, I mean, like, your spirit just exudes like, hey, honey. You know, so I'm going to wish you a happy and most beautiful congratulations. I remember when I saw that beautiful engagement video, I was just like, oh my God. Yes, of course.
Thank
And to your
you.
fiance, wishing you the best. And, you know, darling, yes, yes.
I'm very blessed. I'm very like um yeah, I'm blessed beyond belief and fortunate and excited about what's to come with what I'm working on and my personal life and yeah, like it's incredible. So
I'm so proud of you. Let me know at the end of this year what else you are doing so that I can, you know, jump in on that story and let's see what we're collaborating on. But
totally.
you know, I'm definitely reaching out to you. I have a small little thing that I want to do.
Okay.
You and I and a couple of them designers over here who are a little bit passionate.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, we always talk a bit, and it's kind of like, you know, and I'm always down. So anytime, you know, we'll get there, or I'm always down to
Yeah.
just kind of like, you know, bounce ideas and do something. So definitely, I know we'll
Absolutely.
do it. I know we'll do
Sending you love. Thank you. You've made 2021
it.
year of the second, a month of the second. Before we get into Valentine's, you've made it absolutely phenomenal. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
very much,
Thank
Jamel.
you. Thank you. I'm glad we were able to catch up and just kind of like talk to your listeners and, you know, share whatever I can. I hope I wasn't too boring, but thank you for having me.
It's a journey. Look at me, my stank face. It's a journey. Get some sweet potato pie and call it a day. All right. Thank you, my love.
All right, Linda. Love
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Nokia for giving me and being part of my plug. Thank you to Akazi Africa for being part of this. My responses is that women, I know we're a little bit shy of saying that we want a couple of things, but it's okay. We will get on to the next one. And my next guest is going to be absolutely amazing too. So make sure you keep it right here. Subscribe to Into the Core podcast on YouTube. Follow the conversations. I always have beautiful, candid conversations with the likes of my beautiful guest, Jamel Daniels. Thank you so very much. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Thanks, Jamel. Mwah. Ciao. And to your fiance. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Thank you.
Ciao, darling.
Later.
All right.